It's that time of the year again. Christmas and the holiday season is upon us. The tree is set up and the ornaments are all aglow, and families come together for a time of tradition. Now, while the snow falls to the ground, it's also the time to sit down and have dinner with your racist uncle. Meet Karina. Karina is a young, educated woman of color who is seeking to educate her peers, family, and friends in the importance of social justice. But alas, Karina faces the challenge many young people do during this time of year: interacting with those relatives who make racist remarks that make her uncomfortable and want to curl up in a ball and die from the cringe-worthy conversations. But how am I supposed to get through Christmas dinner while Uncle Bob makes remarks like this? This turkey is one of those American-raised hearty ones, right? Not one of those burrito-fed ones farmed by those fence jumpers? Sounds like anybody in your family? Or perhaps phrases like this. Hey now. Turn that race music down. Do I hear you saying Feliz Navidad? Or Black Christmas music? Turn that Mariah Carey off. We need some good old-fashioned Bing Crosby. Well, you're in luck. This step-by-step video will give you all the tools you need to handle those heated conversations at Christmas dinner. So let's get started. Step number 1. Say something. Now is not the time to just ignore the racist behavior that promotes white supremacy. Now is the time to address the comment and inform the person who said it. Language is a powerful tool. Use it to educate your bigots in your life. Hey, Uncle Bob, what you said earlier was not cool. The people you were talking about are actually people, and when you make comments like that, you're taking away their humanity, and I will not tolerate it. So, can we get on to dessert now, please? Good work, Karina. Way to break the silence and stand up for what you believe in. Dessert may be a little awkward, but at least your Uncle Bob knows what he said offended you. Yeah, but the night is still young. What do I do if he starts up again? Step number 2. Explain to him that he may not be a racist, but what he's saying is. Your Uncle Bob loves you very much. However, his remarks towards people of color are not cool. Make sure, though, that you don't just hit him with the, "Uncle Bob, you're a racist." But why not? Because in the 21st century, the worst thing a person can be called is a racist. And Uncle Bob will deflect his actions by all means possible, and your point will be lost trying to emphasize the intent of his words rather than their impact. You know I'm not a racist, Karina. I love you very much. Now, how can I be a racist if I love a pretty little brown thing like you? Well, Uncle Bob, I know you love me, and I love you too. I need you to understand that when you make comments like that, they're offensive. When you make microaggressions like that, you don't understand that you're coming from a place of privilege. Your being white has allotted you an upper hand in this country, and when you make racist remarks, you're only reinforcing the oppressive barriers that limit marginalized communities and people like me. Good work, Karina. Uncle Bob now understands that although he loves you, what he says can still be racist. However, be aware, Uncle Bob might not quite understand white privilege, especially if he feels like he's not had the most fruitful life experience. Wait a minute. Privilege? Please. I grew up dirt poor. No daddy, single mom, living in a trailer with 6 brothers and sisters, and you want to tell me I grew up privileged? Now you know that's not right. Step number 3. Explain white privilege. Now, this step is the most difficult and will require careful language and a great deal of hard work. This final step will also take time, so it is important to reinforce steps 1 and 2. Uncle Bob, by saying you have white privilege, I'm not saying you grew up with a silver spoon, nor am I disregarding the hardships you've gone through or the experiences you've gained because of it. But what I want you to understand is that you and I participate in a society that was built on the backs of people of color. This country and its institutions are structured to oppress people of color by limiting opportunities, creating disadvantages, and reinforcing the systems that oppress people. Racism is not just using a slur or being violent. Racism is declaring a war on drugs, and specifically targeting low-income neighborhoods of color. Racism is putting those people behind bars and stripping them of their rights. Racism is criminalizing those people. Once criminalized, their ability to participate in society fairly is taken away, and they become part of a self-maintaining system. So I'm lost. If you have a white guy and a black guy who are the same other than their race, how come the white guy has so much privilege apparently? That's because we live in a society that treated people of color, regardless of class, education, age, and gender, as second-class citizens. Uncle Bob, because you have a white name and you are white, if you gave a resume with the name Bob over someone who had the same qualifications named Daquan or Jamal, they'd be more likely to hire you, even if you had a criminal history and they didn't, all because you had the more white-sounding name. And the employers are biased because of your privilege. Because you are white, your history has always been present in your education. Because you are white, a shopkeeper won't follow you around in their store because they're scared you'll take something. Because you're white, you see people who look like you all over television and film. Because you are white, you do not fear police officers like I do. Okay, I guess I kinda see where you're coming from, but I still think this whole thing is a bit over the top. Very well done, Karina. Now, not all hope is lost. Your Uncle Bob may never fully understand where you're coming from, and that's okay. Really? How? Because, although his privilege might cloud his ability to see past his own opinions, he now has someone who will continue to challenge him. He has to face his privilege and experience that discomfort. The process is slow and can be difficult, but you have planted the seeds and stood your ground. There are millions of Uncle Bobs out there. Some are more difficult than others, and some may never understand, but with these tools, you can make an impact. Wow, thanks! No problem. And for just one easy payment of $15.95, you at home can get woke too. This how-to guide is the perfect gift for all the bigots in your life. The homophobic grandma. The sexist grandpa. And even your aunt who thinks you're stuck up because you're going to college and she didn't. So, call now and make the holidays a little less racist.